我还想抽回来是因为他真的比较喜欢讲比较精简，然后就给超多人给个30几的问题，然后那个
Okay, so Jasmine, Sigrid, Catherine, Yvonne, Penny. Okay, so it's time to let's get started. Good afternoon, everybody. Good. How are you doing? How did your midterm go? Okay. Okay. Well, of course, some of you may not be okay. Okay. Yes. As to the midterm of this class, you will see the midterm evaluation on SOLA. It's based on your participation. Okay. So this, of course, it's not final. And if you'd like to pull up your grade, you do. Okay. Actively participate in class. Don't be late. Don't skip the class. Those basic things. Alright, so, and besides that, we have bi-weekly journal, right? The last one was the Group 3 April Fest, and some of you commented on, and I'm really glad to see all those comments on other students' reflections, so that you guys can learn from each other. And also, most importantly, obviously you guys share the same concerns. right? Or worries about your future. So please share those worries or own time, right? Because it's really difficult to deal with sometimes stress or pressure alone by yourself. But once you share with your friends, then you will see a way to overcome those. Right? So make sure you read all the students' comments and also reflection. Okay. And I'll find some time to share my comments and reflections with you guys. And as I announced earlier, May 4th and 11th, we're going to have a company visit, right? CTBC Financial Park in Nangam. Right? And I already uploaded the name list for each day. So make sure you download the list and which day you need to visit. Okay. Any questions? And what I'm not sure yet, but if this COVID situation gets worse in Taiwan, China Trust Bank may start taking visitors. If that's the case, we may have to cancel. But as of now, I haven't heard anything yet. So, still, as we plan, we're going to have. And then,
Can we don't take the school bus?
huh?
Can we don't take the school bus and go by ourselves?
Why? You live closer? Is it easier?
Because I think it's more convenient for us to go by ourselves. And we can just meet at the spot.
Everybody?
Just
Just you?
just
Because once we make an exception, then what if so many students don't want to take a bus? Then what's the point of renting this bus? So either yes or no. That's easier. Okay. Right? And as I explained, on the way we have a bus, but on the way back we don't. Right? Any questions? Any other questions? Okay. Alright, then next thing is May 25th. We're going to have a speaker from Avicol, right? So please prepare your resume. Okay. By May 13th. Some of you already emailed me. So make sure you email me right, by the 13th. And as I said, either English or Chinese. Either language.
So about the May 4th and 11th, so if I go to 4th, then I don't have class on 11th.
Right. Okay. Right, any other questions? No. So this one, no question? Okay. Alright, then, you will ask her to come over. So today we have Ms. Lucy Ling as a guest speaker. She's been working in a totally different industry, which is medical. Okay. She is PharmD. And she's been working as a nurse or as a medical writer and also project manager as well. Okay. So she will share her experiences. She is quite a character. She's been doing some other business as well. So hope you can learn a lot from her. Okay. Right, so she's coming soon. Any other questions? No. Go ahead. No. Wow.
And to put into words, how do you explain that? Have multiple jobs. Have multiple jobs. Very good. So yes, a slasher is a person who has multiple jobs or multiple careers. So they don't stick to one job or career. And I became a slasher just by chance, actually. I didn't really choose to be a slasher to begin with, but it's a fun experience for me, and I'm just here to share my experience, and hopefully you guys can get some insights from my experience. So today I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit, starting by introducing myself, my background introduction, and what my education background is, and what kind of jobs that I have done so far. And so that leading to how to help you to find a job or career that you want to do. And then third, that I would try to see if I can tell you, I think what you should learn in your college life. And next, if you find a job or a career that you want to pursue, who gets hired to these companies, and what you can do before you applying for your job. So first, I'll just introduce myself a little bit. I am born and raised in Taiwan. I went to college in National Taiwan University and majored in pharmacy. So the reason I chose pharmacy is because when I was going to college, I wanted to pursue a career in something that can help people. So I got interested in healthcare field, but I couldn't get into medical school, so I went into major in pharmacy. But so the pharmacy school in Taiwan is 4 years, just as you guys are. And during that year, I wasn't really interested in pharmacy until my third year. That I realized that, I know so little. At the end of third year, I still don't know a lot about pharmacy. So I decided to pursue a chance to study more in the States, because in school we always learn about how things are advanced in the United States. And so I tried to get into school in the United States. So I went to Purdue University to study Doctor of Pharmacy. So the pharmacy education in the States and in Taiwan are very different. So like I said, in Taiwan it's 4-year program, but in the States, since 1960s, they have been trying to build an education system that for the people that graduated from pharmacy school, they can be a pharmacist completely. They don't have to go through further training. So during those college education for pharmacy students, it's very important that they learn everything, regardless of knowledge or skills. So they actually, their programs is called Doctor of Pharmacy. So it's a program with 6 years, or it's a 4-year program, but you can only apply after you get your bachelor's degree. So in other words, for a person to have a Doctor of Pharmacy degree, they have to be in a university for like 6 years or even like 8 years. And so Taiwan has been advanced as well. So it's been a long time since I've been in the university in Taiwan. But right now, Taiwan has established the Doctor of Pharmacy program as well. So there's like, I think 6 schools in Taiwan right now have the 6-year program in their schools to let the pharmacy students have a more complete education so they can be a pharmacist. So you guys may not be very familiar with what pharmacists do. So if I ask you what is a pharmacist, what would you think of? Introducing the patient, what kind of medication they will have. Anything else? typical imagination that we have for the pharmacist. That's someone who sell you the drug in the pharmacy, or if you go to the hospital, that's the person who hands you the bags of drugs to tell you that, oh, these are the drugs that doctors give you. Sometimes they just give you the medicine, don't even tell you what's in there. So that's the typical pharmacist that we think it is. But actually, a pharmacist can do a lot more than you think. Because if a pharmacist just give you a medication, or if a pharmacist just give you whatever medication that doctor tell you to take, then any person with English reading ability can do that. You can do that because the doctor just write the English name of the drug and how many pills, and you just put them in the bags and give it to the patient. That's anybody with English reading ability can do. But pharmacists don't only just do that. They have to know what the patients are. For example, even if a patient with a cold, for instance, right now COVID-19 is what everybody is talking about. So when a person with a cold symptoms, they have a sore throat, they keep sneezing, they go to the pharmacy. They ask the pharmacist that for a cold medication. A real pharmacist will ask you, what kind of symptoms do you have? When did you start having it? Where did you go before you have these symptoms? Did you get in touch with anybody with COVID-19? And all this information that they will ask you to get from you, so that they will know what to do with you is the best way. If they think that you don't have any risk for COVID-19, then they will, based on your condition with your symptoms, they will recommend you the best medications. But if they find out that, oh, you may have a risk for contracting COVID-19 from someone, then they may tell you what to do next. So that's what pharmacists do in a community pharmacy. But in hospital pharmacy, there's more. So in the hospital, the doctor sees you, and the doctor diagnosed that you have certain disease. And then he decided that you need to take these medication to treat your disease. And the pharmacist will get the prescription or order from the doctor, and then they will fill the medication. But they will also need to know what the patient's conditions are, their age, their weight, their kidney function, their liver function, and to decide if the doctor really made the right decision to prescribe the best medication for their patients. And then once that we made this judgment, and then think that, oh, this is very correct for this patient, when we give the patient the medication, we have to tell them that, oh, you have this condition, so the doctor give you this medication, you have to take this time, this time, this time. Or if it's something not take, maybe it's an inhaler, you have to use this medication in this way, this way. So there's a lot of things that a pharmacist has to do, whether it's in the hospital or in the community pharmacy. So when I was in the United States, I worked in a hospital. I mostly work in the intensive unit, which are the patients with the sickest disease. So most days I work like this in a team with the doctor. Every day we go by the patient room and we discuss the patient's conditions, and we decide what's the best for the patient and how to get the patient better. And then when I come back into Taiwan, I went to a hospital as well, wanting to do the same thing, but I realized that because the whole education system and the healthcare system are very different in the States and in Taiwan. So the pharmacists in the States are actually a very respected career, but not as much in Taiwan, like you guys said. you think the pharmacist is just someone that give you the drug. So not a lot of people are really listening to what the pharmacist has to say. So the first year when I came back to Taiwan to work in a hospital, I wasn't really doing very well. I'm not very used to the environment here. So I decided to change to another job. So that's the just a short snap of what a pharmacist is. So as a pharmacist, there's a lot of ability that I have to have. First is my professional ethics. I have to know that the job I'm doing is related to a person's life. Anything I do wrong, the person might be killed. So this is very important that I have to treat my job very seriously. And then I have to have the knowledge and accuracy. Just the basic things. Doctor prescribes something, I have to get the right medication, the right amount. That's very basic, but some people do make mistakes. And I have to have the knowledge to know that what kind of patient, what kind of drug, what kind of conditions, what's the best way to treat a patient. That's all the knowledge that I need to have. And then critical thinking is when you meet upon a situation, can you get the correct information to solve this problem? Can you know the information that you get is correct? That's critical thinking. And then teamwork, ability, and communication are kind of go hand in hand. So like I said, you can see that in a pharmacy, as a pharmacist, it's a teamwork effort in healthcare. You have to work with the physicians, the nurse, and the patients and the families. So it's a teamwork effort to make the patient better. It's not just you doing one thing. So you have to have the ability to work with others. And that includes having a very good communication skills. The way that you talk to a patient is totally different from the way that you talk to a doctor or even a nurse. So you have to know to what kind of person, what kind of way you can convey your message. And then management skills is something that I think a lot of jobs have to have, because every day we have a lot of things to do. Like I said, in the job that I have to run with the physicians. Every day we have to go to the patient's room with the doctors to see how the patient is doing. And then later on I have to give the patients their medications. So there's a lot of jobs that I have to do in a day's life. How do I manage my time to do all these jobs is a very important skill. So these are all the skills that I have to have as a pharmacist. So, like I said, I wasn't really doing very well in the hospital at the first year when I come back to Taiwan. So I decided to go into next job. And the next time, so at this time, one of the professor that I had know that I was looking for a job, and he wanted to establish a program for the pharmacists in Taiwan to be more educated about giving patient care. And like I said, the education in Taiwan is only 4 years. So sometimes it's not enough for a pharmacist to do a job very well. So we decided to establish an education program for pharmacists to know more about what's best for a patient care. And then in 2010, the National Health Insurance, they have a program for us to visit patients who go to doctors a lot. There are some, because National Health Insurance is very good in Taiwan, there are some patients that would go to see a doctor almost every day. So for a patient, they can actually go to a doctor more than 300 times a year. And that's a very, first of all, very wasteful of our national resources. And then second of all, they go to doctors so much that they may have more problems than they solve problems. So the National Health Insurance want to solve this problem. They want to prevent people to going to doctors so often. So they ask the pharmacists to help these patients to find out why they go to doctors so much. And so we established this education program for pharmacists to know how to talk to these patients, how to find out what their problems are, and to help them solve their problems. So the first year in 2010, we helped 41 pharmacists to help more than 800 patients. And that year, the National Health Insurance invested 3 million national Taiwan dollars to these pharmacists. They paid $3.8 million for these pharmacists to visit these patients, and they saved $12 million at the end. So you see, they invest $1 in these pharmacists, and they can save almost like $4 at the end for the National Health Insurance program. And so I was helping the professor to establish the education program to let the pharmacists know what to do when they get in touch with the patients, how to solve their problems. And then I helped him establish a program, and I left the association after that. And then I went into another hospital to help them to establish their educate or training program with their pharmacists. So most pharmacists, when they first graduate from school, they, like I said, after 4 years, they are not very sure of what to do when they are getting in touch with patients and when they're talking to doctors. So in the hospital, I help them to have many training programs. I talk to the pharmacists, discuss patient with them, and ask them what would you do in this situation. Or we can discuss about the newest literature, the studies that we publish. So I help them train the pharmacists to know how to see patients in clinical situations. And I have been doing this job for like almost 10 years. I just went there part-time, so I don't take care of patients personally, but I train the pharmacists so they can do a better job when they take care of patients. So this is a I call this a pharmacist educator. So most of the time I teach the pharmacists how to be better at their job. So being an educator, you need to have the knowledge and skills that you want to teach, so that you can teach them. But you also have to know your audiences. For example, if I'm talking to a group of pharmacists, it will be different from when I talk to a group of patients or a group of doctors, because their knowledge are different. So I have to talk in the language that they understand. And I also have to think outside the box to use my communication skills to convey my message, my knowledge and my skills. So these are what being an educator requires. Then because I was doing the pharmacist educator part-time, and some other time that I would start doing medical writer. So medical writer is a writer who writes materials for marketing purpose for pharmaceutical companies. So that's a total different area of pharmacy industry. So for pharmaceutical companies to sell drugs, they have to tell the patients why their drugs are good. They have to tell the doctors why their drugs are good. So they do different kind of things to promote their products or to market their products. So from an educational pamphlet for patients, or from materials that explaining what the drugs are for the doctors, or sometimes they will have meetings. They will gather all kinds of doctors to a meeting to discuss this drugs or discuss this disease, to promote awareness of the drug or the disease. And I would design the content of the meeting, or help them write the meeting minutes to publish. For the people that wasn't in the meeting, they can share the contents in the meeting as well. So these are the things that I would write as a medical writer. And like being a pharmacist educator in a hospital, I have been doing this job for about 10 years as well. And because this is a part-time job, there's some company that I work with, they would just give me the cases that I would just write on it. And so this is a kind of new area of a job recently, because in the old times, the pharmaceutical companies usually have their own department to do these kind of things. But now they all just outsourcing to marketing companies to do these. So that's why I can do this on my own time. So being a writer, not just medical writer, but just any kind of writer as a profession, you need to know the purpose, meaning what's the purpose of what you're writing? Are you telling a story? Or are you, like what I wrote, are you educating the patients, or are you educating the doctor, or are you educating the nurses? Or what's the purpose of your writing? And you have to know your readers to know what to write about it. And then you have to find the right information. So finding the right information right now is very hard, because we're in a knowledge booming era that you can find all kinds of things on the internet. So you have to have the ability to understand the information and then know the information if it's correct or not, and how you use the information is also the fourth ability. How do you craft the message that you want to say in your material? That's the fourth ability as well. So being a writer, I think you need to have all these kind of ability. So while I was doing pharmacist, educator, and medical writer, because I was doing both of these jobs part-time, I can control my own time freely. And one year, one of my friends asked me if I want to join him to work on something interesting. And my friend used to be a choir director in the States, and he moved back to Taiwan. And he got in touch with some people that wanted to promote a cappella. Do you guys know what a cappella is? You don't know. It's singing without instrument, right? So it's an easy way for people to get together and sing together, because you don't need instrument. And that year we worked with an association called Vocal Asia. They are the biggest acapella promoter in Taiwan. They actually want to promote acapella not only in Taiwan, but also in Asia, all over the world. So that year, they want to get all students to understand what acapella is, to practice acapella, or to listen to acapella, or to appreciate this. So we established an education program. That year we sent 10 teachers to 45 schools in Taiwan, from elementary schools to high school to college even. So any group, if they are interested, to participate in our program, we will send teacher over to teach them once every month. And then in summer, we would get all these groups together. We held this event in Taidong, and then they will have class over the course of four to 5 days. They will have classes together, and they also have competition because they have been practice for the whole year. And then they will compete in their according to their age group, and they will compete and they will interact with different schools. And that festival is also held to invite all a cappella singers all over Asia. So that year we have over 400 people from all over Asia, Japan, Korea, Indonesia, Philippines, all kinds of countries. They all came to Taidong and they have classes together and they sing together. So I can show you guys clips of what we did. Give you guys a picture of what we did. So they actually, Vocal Asia actually have this festival every year. They would have it in sometimes in Taiwan, sometimes in other countries. And that year, actually, it is the year that with most participants, because we have invited all students from all over Taiwan to participate. We have a lot of audience that appreciate the music from not only Taiwan, but also all over the world as well. So you would think being a project manager is so far away from being a pharmacist. Why do I have the ability to do that? So we actually do this, not just me. I cannot do all these things that you just saw, because that's a lot of work. But it's a team. So like being a pharmacist, it's a team effort to pull out a project, for a project to become a success. Now, for being a project manager, you requires a lot of communication skills and negotiation skills because you have to talk to a lot of different parties, different vendors. You have to negotiate what's the best price, what's the best package they can offer us. So communication skills are very important. And also I was sending teachers to different schools. So you have to coordinate their time and the teacher's time. So time management is also very important as well. And then leadership. Leadership is where you know when and how to hand out your jobs. So like I said, it's a team effort. We have a lot of people working together. You have to know when, how to hand out your job to certain people to let everybody work on the same workload. So that's leadership. And then risk management, that you have to know you have to think ahead what kind of risks that you may have. For example, for a festival to be held in Taiwan, then we have all kinds of concerts outside. So what if it rains? If it rains, what we're gonna do? Or if we book all these hotels for all these people to come, if they cannot come, what can we do? Or all kinds of things that we have to think ahead and know how to manage these risks. That's one of the abilities as well. And then critical thinking and problem solving is kind of similar, where I talk about having problems when taking care of patients. When you're working on project as well, you will have a lot of problems. For example, sometimes students cannot show up to the festival. What can you do? They ask for a replacement student, can you do that? And, or someone is sick, how do you go about helping them to get the best care when it's an emergency? All these things that you have to have the ability to think about what's the best way to solve your problem. That's a very important ability to work as a project manager as well. Okay, so that's one of the jobs that I did for 2016. Do you want to have the breakdown?
Okay, yeah. 10 minutes first.
Okay.
Okay. So everybody come back by 3:10. Okay. Danny, right? Wait, Danny. I couldn't recognize you. Catherine!
I made a mistake. I made a mistake. Not killing anything.
Yeah, how do they deal with that first real name?
Yeah. Because in the whole, I was thinking you're asking about Taiwan or United States. I actually don't want to make mistakes because they they know, but for that person's fault, but I don't know. So I don't know.
Yeah, but you know, if I know, then I don't think that. Or as a dog.
But then you have to make it up. That's why.
I might ask you later, if you know us, but it's very true. Uh-huh.
You had something?
No.
Just like okay. Huh? Let me see your attendance. You've been late for huh? Passing was so hard. No option. I late. So this attendance doesn't affect your final grade severely yet. But then participation and also general. Discussion general. Hey, I sent you the comment, right? Did you see that? You did? Okay. Active participation. Ask a question or you know what. Huh. Oh, okay. After the class? Yeah. Okay.
the place is going. You are headed.
Recording?
Yeah. Tofu. You mean tofu? Tofu is a place. Tofu is something you do.
Hey, cigarette, can you close the door? Thank you.
Wow, that's good.
I know a lot. Which level that you?
Okay. Penny. Or you stay there. 也可以 either way.
You can do like the CAT one.
Okay, I'm gonna start my next step. Okay.
Because I will top.
So the last new thing that I did was in 2020 that I opened a restaurant with my friends. So it's kind of crazy timing for us to open up a restaurant because in 2020 that's when COVID-19 really started. But we discussed about this before then, and then we decided to start doing that before the whole pandemic started. So we could not stop. So my friend and I were discussing open up restaurants, not in Taiwan but somewhere else, and then we happen to have a very close friend in Indonesia that she's interested as well. So we decided to open one in Indonesia. And so we have to find a location that's appropriate and find a location that has a lot of potential customers. And then we actually find an empty lot close to two schools. And we have to, we just build a restaurant from an empty lot. And we decided what kind of food we're gonna have, all that kind of stuff. But it's a very interesting challenge because the timing was very bad. That after the pandemic starts, there's a lot of restriction on when people can go out to eat, and like restaurant. Usually in Indonesia, a restaurant like this usually open until like 2 o'clock in the morning. But we could not do that. The restaurant usually has to close like around 9-10 p.m. But then so we have very little customers when we opened up. But it's a very fun challenge because I think no one would have done that. Not no one, but a lot of people, maybe some people would do that as well. But it just smart people probably wouldn't want to do that. But we decided to do it, and then it's a good thing that we are still keep doing it. The restaurant's still open, and we hope by the time that the pandemic ends and we will start really making money at that time. So opening up a restaurant requires, besides money, that you have to understand the market. For example, we are in Taiwan. How do I know what the market in Indonesia is? But we have a person that's in Indonesia. She knows what Indonesian people like, what kind of food they like, what kind of drinks they like. And so we have to use our creativity to customize what the Indonesian people eat and what kind of food they would like. And then also we had to have leadership, that you have to train your employees and let them do the works that you want them to do. And how do you do that? You just have to train them and communicate with them. So it's all kind of leadership ability. And also time management and problem solving are very important as well, because even if it's not pandemic year, opening up a restaurant can have a lot of problems. For example, food can go bad, or your employees can quit before you can find a new person, or your computer can break down so you cannot calculate the orders that people send in. All kinds of stuff can happen. So you have to have the ability to solve your problems right when they happen. And then time management. There are so many things opening up a restaurant that would have. From from the beginning, we had to build a restaurant physically. And then what kind of branding, what kind of message we want to tell the neighborhood, to tell them that, oh, what kind of restaurant we are, or to hiring staff, training staff, buying things. These are all different works that have to be done. So we have to manage our time very carefully for the restaurant to be success. So this is the last job that I will talk about. But you can see that all these jobs that I've done, it looks like they are kind of irrelevant. Because pharmacists, why would a pharmacist to go doing a music festival work? It looks like it's totally irrelevant. But as I talk about each job, the required skills and knowledge about each job, you can tell that some of the skills are actually similar or the same. That to do different jobs, you have to have all these abilities. So, so next I will talk about how do you find a job or career that I want to do. I'm still kind of looking for things that are interesting to me. But let's just start by talking about what a job is. So this is from a dictionary, okay? So a job is the work that someone does to earn money. So you have to earn it. You have to do something that's worth the money. Or a job is a particular task. So you have to complete this task to be worth of the money that you earn. Or a job is a particular person or thing, is their duty or function. So you have to have the responsibility to perform this task or duty or function so that you can earn your money. So that's a job. So that's totally different from being a student because people are not paying you to, if you're a PhD maybe, but people are not paying you to be studying, right? So it's a different, you don't have a responsibility you have a responsibility as a student to learn, but people don't pay you to learn usually. So having a job is very different from being a student. So what do you go about looking, if you don't know, you still don't know what you're going to do when you graduate, you can start thinking about these things on your way. So the first thing, I think you should understand your own strength. What this means is what you do make you happy, make you satisfied. You should ask yourself, which subjects or which activities do I enjoy the most? So maybe you like English the most. So you can start thinking about what can I do using English as my ability to do. There's a lot of jobs that you can do with being able to speak, write, read English. Or what kind of activities do I enjoy the most? Maybe I enjoy having parties with my friends. Having party is not easy things to organize. You have to get people, you have to order food, you have to find the right place to have the party. That's a project manager as well. So that you can use those abilities as for a job. So also ask yourself, what do I do that result in most desirable or rewarding outcome? So when I have a party, if I have the party perfect, everybody is so happy when they go home. I feel like, oh, I'm so good, I'm very good at throwing parties. So that's very rewarding to me. So that's how you find your own strength. That's what you're good at. So you can use that looking for a job that's related to that kind of ability. And there's a lot of, on the web, there's a lot of self-evaluation tools that you can find your own strength, find your own weakness, opportunity, and threats. You can just look online. You guys are actually living in a very fortunate era that you can find almost anything on the internet. And there's a lot of free tools that you can find on the internet to find your own strengths. If you don't know what your strength is, you can start by doing some of these tests and then use those results to put it back in your life and see if that's for real. Or you can ask your friends and people who you work with. It doesn't have to be a job that people work with you. It can be a school project. It can be a club activity. It can be a sports event that you work with. Those people know what you're good at. You can ask them what you think my strengths are. They would be the best reflection of your image, because sometimes people don't know what themselves can do. So ask the people around you, your friend, your people who work with, that what your strength is. And then, like I said earlier, just test yourself. People say that you're very good with people. Then you can start doing more things that interact with people. And then see if that's right, if you can get a fulfilling feeling from doing all these things. So identify what kind of work you are very good at and the areas that you need to work on. And using your strength to find a job is usually the best way to go about it. And then you have to prioritize your values. That means what's important to you. So we have like intrinsic values, such as what's the purpose of your work. For example, I talked about earlier, I want to do work that can help people. I feel like I want to, if my work can help people, then that made me feel better. So that's my purpose of work. I want to find something that can help people. But your purpose of work may be, I want to be famous, or I want to be a millionaire. That's all okay too. That's what we call in extrinsic values. That you have to prioritize what's important to you. So if you want to be that, then how can you go about being a millionaire, being a famous person? And other intrinsic values including growth opportunities. For example, I want to be famous, so I can start being a YouTuber. What's the growth opportunity of being a YouTuber? Can I do something more than a YouTuber? Is this job gonna make me better and better, or if it's just the same thing over and over again? And if that's important to you, you should think about it when you look for a job as well. And challenges. I do a lot of jobs because they are challenges to me. Like you said, like you can see, being a project manager at a music festival, it has nothing to do with being a pharmacist. And at first, I thought that I could not do it because usually, when I was growing up, I keep thinking that because I was studying pharmacy, the only thing that I can do is a pharmacist. Then I walk into the a cappella world and start doing this project, and I realized that, oh, actually I have a lot of ability that I can do a lot of things. I don't have to limit myself to just being a pharmacist. So that's challenges for me a big thing when I'm looking for a job. If it's boring to me, I would not want to keep doing it. So that might be important to some people. And respectful relationships. Jobs are one of the important ways to have respectful relationships with people, but not all jobs can do that. So some people would value this very highly, and so that's one thing that you have to think about when you are looking for a job as well. And then extrinsic values, besides the compensation and benefit, work environment might be one of the extrinsic values as well. That includes where the company is, or the environment. If you want to be working in a high-rise like 101, or do you want to work in a more place like Taichung or Hualien, that might be different with everyone as well. And autonomy. Autonomy means that you can decide for yourself, that you can decide your working time, or you can decide your the way that you work. And that's important for some people too, because some people don't want to be doing the 9 to 5 job every day. Like I really don't want to do that, so that's important for me. So that's why I am working as a slasher, because I can do different jobs and I can use my time freely. So autonomy is one of the intrinsic values as well. And also there are some factors, lifestyle factors that you have to think about when you think about career, like work-life balance. In Taiwan, this has been talked about a lot in the labor, when we talk about laboring, when we talk about work, a lot of people would be doing work all the time and have no life besides work. And some people might think it's okay, some people just love working, that's okay, but some people might not enjoy that kind of lifestyle. So when you're looking for a job, that might be something to consider as well. And travel requirement. Some people want to travel for their job because the company can pay for it, and they think it's actually one of the perks that a job can offer. But some people might not enjoy that as much. So you have to decide if the job has some travel requirement is a plus or minus for you. And environmental and social impact, that's something to think about as well. When I was in school, some teachers are very against pharmaceutical companies. They think that pharmaceutical companies are just companies that want to make money out of sick people. So they don't think people work in pharmaceutical companies are good people. But I don't think that way, because I think people invent medication to treat disease. So there are some prices behind that you have to invest and research it and then making it. So yes, drugs cost money, but it's not all bad. So it's the way that I think about pharmaceutical company to the impact of them to society might be different from the teachers that I mentioned on the same thing. So you have to decide for yourself that the company that you work with, their environmental and social impact, are they important to you? So yeah, you have to find out what's important to you. And then, how do you find out what's important to you? And I think one of the most important things is that you have to use your own experiences. So you have to do more things to have more experiences. Doesn't matter if it's sports event, if it's after school club events, or if it's volunteer events, or if it's a real job. You can do all these kind of things to gain your experience. So it doesn't have to be a real job. You can do a lot when you're volunteering. I'm sure you guys have this every year, and it's not easy things to organize. If you participate, you might need to do a lot of things that to gather people to do it, to make up time to do it, and then in social club and in sports event as well, you have to even just sports event, it's not, if you play basketball, it's not just playing basketball that easy. You have to get people to come to practice, when we can all practice, where to practice, if you want to compete with other people, where to find your competitors, that kind of stuff. You can use all these kind of experience as your skills, and to find out all the things that I just talked about, your strength and your values. So that leads to you need to learn in your college life. So this is what I pulled from one of the job website in the States. And this is a public relations coordinator for a company called Showtime. It's a TV channel. So they are looking for a person that do public relations. So on their requirement, there are a lot of things. So usually the knowledge and hard skills means a specific knowledge or skills that require for a specific job. For example, for this job, they say you need to be computer savvy. You need to know how to do Word, Excel, Outlook, PowerPoint, and basic database skills. So when you apply for this job, you have to show them that you know how to do these things. And you have to have excellent knowledge of internet and social media sites. So if you want to apply for this job, you have to have these knowledge and hard skills. So they can be a degree that shows that you have these skills, or a license. For example, a pharmacist, you have to have a pharmacist license to prove that you have the skills and knowledge of a pharmacist. And all these things like foreign language skills, coding ability, computer skills, graphic designs, blah, blah, blah. All these knowledge and hard skills you would learn in schools. That's most of the time you learn in the class. But there are some other things that you probably would not learn from a book. I mean, you can probably still learn in class, but maybe they're usually not from a book. And they're like communication skills and other soft skills. I mean, you guys are strategic communication, right? So you have a lot of classes about communication skills. So they do teach you that in the class. But it's something that if you don't use it, you don't really learn it. I mean, I can keep talking in this class, but you probably don't know what I am talking about until you really do have all this experience and realize what your own strength is. So these soft skills can be, for the same job, see how much they require. They require like verbal and written communication skills. They require self-starters, means that you have the ability to make yourself to do things, and to require good judgment, ability to prioritize, and to have polite and professional manner, and to be able to work in a fast pace, that deadline-oriented department, blah, blah, blah. So there are a lot of soft skills that we can talk about, but it's endless. So there are a few that I think very important. For example, attention to details. This is something that you might not learn in book, but sometimes when you hand out your schoolwork, that your teacher might be reminding you that you have to pay attention to details. And this is important because that's where you can stand out in your workplace. And collaborations, I talk a lot about teamwork today. It doesn't matter which job I have to work with a team. So collaborating with people is a soft skill that's very important in job situation. Unless you're just working with your own, but this really rarely happens. Almost all jobs you have to work with people. And critical thinking, that's an ability with your experience as well. When you have a problem, when you see a problem, can you evaluate the situation? Can you know how to solve the problem? That's a critical thinking ability. Empathy means that you can think about what other people need. You can think about what other people feel like. So that's important too, because before I was talking about, for example, opening up a restaurant. Do I know where the local people want? I have to to know what they want in order to sell them what they want? Or when I was a pharmacist, do I know how the patient feel like? How I can help them? Can I offer them a word of kindness or a precise drug that they need? What do they need? That's the empathy that I have to think for other people. And so that's important too. Doesn't matter what kind of jobs you do. In organizations, it's for a lot of jobs you have a lot of tasks that you have to do. So you have to know how to prioritize your to-do list, what you have to accomplish first, and how to manage your time. That's very important to a lot of jobs too. And work ethics, I talked about this when I was talking about pharmacists because I was working with human lives. But work ethics is very important to all jobs. Like I was talking about the definition of job, you have to finish your task, your function, to earn your money. So that's your ethics. That's very important, doesn't matter what kind of jobs that you do. So that's some of those the soft skills that you should learn when you're in college. So you guys probably are ahead of other people with your strategic communication, and communication skills are very important to a lot of jobs. So you guys should learn more about it. So I think during this college life, you should just understand yourself more. And how do you do that? First, you should learn from classes, and also you should learn out of the classroom in the world. You guys are. I talk about having the internet on your fingertips. You can learn a lot of things on the internet as well. There's a lot of online classroom. You can take classes from all over the world. There's free website that offers classes. There's TED Talk that you can find all kinds of topics that you can learn about. There's podcast that you guys, when you're riding on the train or whatever, you can just listen to them and learn a lot of things from those things. So you should actively try to learn things from outside of the classroom as well. And then do more to gain experience. Like I said, you should not just having classes. You should go out, having play sports, do club activities, having parties, do volunteer works. All these things can help you to gain more experience and to understand yourself more. And then to talk to people. Talk to all kinds of people, not just your classmates, your teachers. Talk to the cafeteria lady, talk to the security guard. Just talk to people and listen to what they have to say, because you can probably learn something from them. So that's what I think when you're in college you can learn about during your time here. So next I'll talk to you guys about how to get a job that you want. If you find a job, so who gets hired for new graduates? This is a job website from the States, and they did this studies from last year, 2021. So they asked companies what they look for in a candidate. What's the 10 most important qualities in a candidate? So the first one is loyalty. Loyalty means if you're faithful to the company or to the values you believe in. The second is integrity. Integrity means if you follow your values, follow your moral standards. And the third one is sincerity, if you're honest. All those kind of stuff. Adaptability, kindness, patience, persistence, emotional intelligence, tolerance, open-mindedness. So realize in those top 10, none of them are GPA. and none of them are good school. So these are the top 10 most important qualities they look in a candidate. So you might think, oh, this is the States, it doesn't apply to me. But look at Taiwan. This is from news media in Taiwan. They did this study in 2017. They asked about over 1,000 listed companies, and about 343 of them replied back. And so they asked, what's the most important qualities in new graduates when you are interviewing people? So the first one is autonomy and ambitions. Means if you are very eager to get what you want, if you are ambitious, you know you want to be ahead, and then you fight for it. And that's what they look for, autonomy. If you can do the work without people telling you to do it, you can do it automatically. That's autonomy and ambitions. And the second is ability to learn and adapt. And then third, emotional intelligence. That means that you have the intelligence to deal with all kinds of things emotionally. And then the fourth is responsibility and self-management. And the fifth is communication skills. And the sixth is professional knowledge and skills. So only the sixth one, they didn't show up their percentage, but you can see that as for like grades or knowledge wise, that's only the sixth one that they're looking for. The top five is none of those hard skills that I talked about. It's all the soft skills that I talked about. So you find a job or something that you want to do. What do you do before you applying for a job? First, you should understand the company and the position. Again, you have the internet. You should find out if you're applying for a company, what the company is about, what do they stand for, what their mission is, what their vision, their value is, what do they do, what do they sell. That's very important to understand, because you have to understand the work environment to know if you want to work in there. And then when they ask you a question, you will be able to answer it. And then find out what the job position is about. When they list the job, they usually have the requirement qualification like I was showing you earlier. So look at the listing qualification and see if you qualify for it. And look at the job description. Make sure that when they say public relationship, what do they do? Is that really what you want to do? So read the job description and make sure that that's what you want to do. And then maybe find out people who have done the job. And if you see if people around you who have done the job, and talk to them about it, ask them about it. And if you can't find the people who found a job, just look it up in the internet and see what people are talking about their jobs. I mean, people talk about all kinds of things on internet. So you can always find something on internet and try to understand what the position is really about. And during your research process, just list all the questions that you might have. Doesn't matter if it's for the company or for the position. Just write down the question that you would have. So, I mean, they did the research and says that for a corporate job, one opening can attract 250 resumes. And among all those 250 resumes, they will only interview 4 to 6 people. And among these 4 to 6 people, only one get hired. So how can you do to attract their attention, to get them to talk to you? Because, I mean, just from paper, how do I know you? So you have to know how to attract their attention on your resumes. And from a resume, what the recruiters, what they usually look for is one job experience. First 60% they will look for job experience. So I was talking about having experience. Of course, if you want, you can get a part-time job. That would be great. On the resume, it would be a great plus if I find someone who has worked before. But if you can have a job, you don't want to have a job. Like I said, you should do more, participate more. Doesn't matter if it's volunteer work or club activities. Show that you have experience of doing all that kind of job. That's the first thing that they look for is job experience. The second is cultural fit. If you fit their company culture, what they're looking for. And then third is cover letter. Cover letter is something usually you write to introduce yourself. So they can find out more about your growing up background, your education background, what you're good at, your strength. So that's where you have to convince those people that you are the right person. You are who they're looking for. So how you write a cover letter is very important when you are applying for a job. And so these are the top three that they're looking on the resume. So the fourth is only the fourth, they will look at the prestige of your college. And the fifth, they will look at your grades, your GPA. So when you are preparing for applying for a job, you should just prepare. What I mean is, first you have to write job-specific resume and cover letter. Of course, what you've been through, your life experience will be the same. But how you write it when you're applying for a job is very different. For example, if when I was a pharmacist, I saw a resume who applied for a pharmacist job. That person has no work experience in pharmacy, but that person has a work experience in a clothing store. But that's all they wrote. That person only wrote that, oh, I worked in that store before. But that doesn't attract me. That has nothing to do with being a pharmacist. So I would think that, oh, I don't want you because you have no work experience as a pharmacist. However, if you can write down what you did when you were working in that clothing store, for example, if you have excellent customer service and you got like service award of the employee award, that kind of stuff, you can write it because being a pharmacist, you have to talk to patients. So customer service is kind of like this similar stuff that you have to show your communication skills and your ability of talking to people. So that's how you should write your resume and cover letter. You should write different resume and cover letter according to the job that you apply for. And then second thing is that not a lot of people talk about, but I think it's kind of important that you should clean up your social media. It's like I said, you can find anything on internet. If I am a boss, I want to hire someone, I would try to find their Facebook, their Instagram, their any account that's public and see what they're talking about on social media. So you should. On social, you already should be careful when you're talking about things on social media. But it's not that I'm telling you not to have social media accounts. But when you're applying for a job, maybe you should hide some stuff that it's not public. Just make it private so that people won't see it. This is really hard to explain. If you have, say I love partying, and I always post partying picture on my Instagram because I want to share with the world how happy I am in the partying world. But I'm applying for a pharmacist position. They might not want a person who's partying that much. So when I was applying a pharmacist job, I should just make the account private, so that they probably won't find out what a crazy person I am. So that it will increase my chance to get the job. That's what I mean cleaning up social media. I didn't mean to you to delete or not having a social media account. And then start writing down potential interview questions and practice them. You might not know all, what people would ask in the interviews, but again, look on the internet. There's so many tools on the internet that will help you. People usually ask the same question actually in the interviews. So you should look them up if you can find it in on the web. There are books about it. Because when I graduated, I actually bought a book about how to interview well. And in the books, they would tell you what kind of questions that people ask in the interviews. So write down all these questions that they might have for you, and then write down your answers and start practicing them. And then, like I said, when you're researching, write down your questions for the company or about the positions. Because if you are asking questions in your interviews, then the company will think that, oh, you're really interested in our company, or you're really interested in this job, and I can see that you are taking initiative to understand about this job or this company more. So that's a very good plus in the interview. So write down your questions for them, and then when they in the interview, you can ask about it. And then ask your family or friends to practice with you. I think it's important as well. I mean, if you don't want to, if you're shy, you don't want to ask people, just practice just in front of the mirror, practice. Because practice actually really makes a difference. And then even the resume and cover letter, if you have someone you trust, you can show them, ask them to review and ask them what they think about it. And so asking people to use a different view to look at things is always helpful. So that's, and so if you are lucky enough that they ask you to have an interview with them, make sure that you be punctual and wear appropriate attire. For example, if someone who are interviewing for a pharmacist job, but they're wearing short shorts and tank top and sandals and coming into a hospital, I just feel like you're not really professional. You don't take this job seriously, so I probably would not want to hire this person. So whenever you have an interview, make sure you be there on time and wear something appropriate. So that's why I said prepare 3 times, because this is how you show that you really want this job. And then you can show that you're different from other people. Because you're competing, I mean, I don't know what kind of jobs you will apply for, but like the survey that says that you might compete with 250 other people. So you have to think about how to make yourself stand out in these people. So that's pretty much I have for today. It's just go out, do more, learn from others, and try to think more. Use your brain and think more about what you like, what's important to you. That's all part of how to find a career or job that you want to do. So hopefully my sharing experience will help you guys get some ideas about how to get ready to find a job.
So, any questions? Either one. Nikki first, lady first.
Firstly, thank you so much for your presentation today. It was very insightful. I always say you never learn enough about how to tackle the working world. So thank you. When I heard you were a slasher, I went, oh, she must have so much free time. Is that the case?
Sometimes yes, sometimes no. I am fortunate that I work with many people that allow me to live my life the way that I want.
Yeah.
So I can, for example, I was talking about being a medical writer. I work with 1 to 2 companies. They will give me cases. But sometimes if I'm really tired and I don't feel like doing anything, I just tell them that I don't want it. They will find someone else to write it. So I can adjust my own time to fit what I want to. So yeah.
Yeah. I think it's also for us to know that a lot of young people have this pressure to stick to one career field, and it's so interesting to know that you've been doing this for quite some time now. So it's nothing new, and it's a more open-minded view of the career world. So thank you again.
Yeah, a lot of people are envious and saying that, oh, I have so much free time and oh, I can do whatever I want. But on the other hand, I cannot control when the cases come in. So I might have very little money this month, but then I can live freely. So I have to have the courage to take that risk. I have to be okay with that lifestyle to work that way. Yeah, that's one of the risks as being a slasher, because it might not be stable. Yeah.
No, my name is Happy, and I understand slasher as an entrepreneur, and you're an entrepreneur, and I'd like to ask this question: what are the three habits that you do every day, or what is your typical day for you?
Oh, that's cool. I actually don't know what the entrepreneur really means. That's why I never really say myself as an entrepreneur. And as I was telling my story, that I usually have all these opportunities because people ask me. I didn't really actively sought out to be all these kind of project owner, project manager, or restaurant owner, that kind of thing. So I don't know. I feel like entrepreneur is like people who really actively to go out
And also who can take risks.
Yeah. I feel like I'm not really that. But to answer your question, my 3 habits. I
Drink.
not like
Just kidding.
I listen to a lot of podcasts, and I don't just listen. I actually listen to more American podcasts than Taiwanese podcasts. And when I read, this is one. There are 2. When I read news, I don't read just Taiwanese news. I read American news. I read Japanese news. I read all kinds of things, and I try to get my source of information from all kinds of different things. 3rd, yoga. I've been doing yoga for more than 10 years.
Wow.
That's like 3, I guess, that I can say. Has nothing to do with job, I think. but I think learning is so important in life, because when especially I feel like a lot of people, I'm lucky enough that my parents have let me go out to have an education in the States. But not many people can do that. And that's why I love talking to people about my work experience and my educational experience, because I want to share with those people that cannot get those things. And so learning from other people, I think very important, can broaden your view. You just don't live in your own little world. You can see that how big the world is and how many things that you can do. Yeah.
You mentioned working as a slasher has a lot of risks, especially when it comes to income. Sometimes you'll have income and sometimes it won't be as much as you expected. Was there ever a time you family hesitate or worry for you, like show concerns like, are you sure this is what you want? Or, you know, how can you be able to support yourself if you don't have a stable income? And like, how are you able to go about that? Like, what, yeah.
Yeah, that's very good question. I think in the beginning, I don't think my mom understands what I'm doing. She feels like I'm at home all the time, and she feels like I'm not doing anything at all. I'm always on my computer. But of course I'm on my computer, I'm writing stuff. But I think with time that she understands that I'm actually, like when I'm on my computer, I'm working and actually can earn my own savings. So she understands with time. But you're right. I think in the beginning I have to evaluate how much I like for each month. What's the least that I have to have, and I have to make sure that I would have those income. So that's why that's one of the reasons I keep having the job as a pharmacist in the hospital, because I know I have to go there every week, and I would earn those wages, and so that's how I think I evaluate. You have to evaluate what's important to you, and then evaluate if you have different jobs, how much they can earn you to just put it on the risk benefit kind of list to think about it. Yeah.
Oh, can I also add to this question? I'm not sure if this is considered personal, but despite all the risks that you have in this job, would you say that it's worth it, or would you say you're satisfied with how your career is right now? Because I think a lot of people because I know that all types of careers have risks, but I think a lot of people, especially those who are still young and like don't have experience yet, they fear the risk too much. So would you tell us that despite the risk, it will be worth it, or?
Well, this is really hard to answer, because I feel like that's why I said to do more, because you have to know where your line is when you're doing more stuff. For example, I think when I'm younger, in my mind, I feel like I went to the States for a degree. I'm a doctor of pharmacy. When I come back to Taiwan, everybody should want me. All the schools, all the hospitals, they should want me as their employee. How come? Well, because the system is different. So this degree is not considered a doctorate in Taiwan, and so I might not qualify for all the schools. So I have a lot of frustration actually when I'm applying for a job. I find out that I probably don't fit here and I don't fit there. And yes, in the beginning it frustrated me and it made me feel like a failure. But then with time I found out that when I'm doing this, when I'm working as a slasher, I actually gain happiness from little things. For example, for a young pharmacist who knows nothing about patient care, and then she went on and established a program that helped HIV patients, that kind of stuff. I didn't do those services, but I helped her having the ability and the faith to do that. So it's just the way that you think about things. It will change when you have more experience and when you get older. So that's why I feel like doing more would help you to be able to evaluate those risks and benefit. I'm not promoting being a slasher. I'm just, I feel like this is, it's a good life for some people, but it's not for everyone. Yeah, so I'm not saying that being a slasher as soon as you graduate is a new thing. But maybe some people can do that, but it's not for everyone. So yeah.
When we you guys speaking, you spoke about how you noticed the difference between the pharmacy world of America and here in Taiwan. If you were given the opportunity to go back to America to be a pharmacist in every word, in every distinction, would you give up being a slasher and go back?
Right now,
Anytime, not just right now, but if we
Hypothetically speaking.
Yeah.
because the reason why I say it right now, because it's not just a job.
Mm.
You're talking about a whole different living environment.
Yeah.
So the living environment when I was working in the States and right now is totally different. And that's not just working in a hospital, it's the whole atmosphere of the country is different. So right now I would say no. Yeah.
You have a question?
I have, but I don't want to ask.
Huh? Come on.
Like,
It's too
Oh, go ahead, Alan.
okay, I'd like to ask you, a restaurant in Indonesia, is it a barbecue restaurant or?
No, it's a I don't know how to say it. It's
It's a local cuisine restaurant?
yeah. They just have like fried noodles, fried rice, satay, that kind of thing.
Is it more like an outdoor restaurant?
It is outdoor, yes.
Okay.
But we only, because it's an empty lot, we only have roof, and it's same yeah, we don't have, we have like walls in the, like separated from the kitchen, but in the dining area, it's like same open, yeah.
How come you made your mind to open a restaurant in Indonesia?
And my friend and I always want to do something like that, not just opening up a restaurant, not going anywhere, but because that friend in Indonesia said that she's interested too, and we feel like with she being there, managing everything, that she can be trusted. So we just put in our resources and start working with her.
So before you talk with the friends in Indonesia, have you planned to open in a restaurant in Taiwan? So before that you don't know how to like manage a restaurant or how to make a restaurant business model and so on?
I did sort of. I didn't talk about this because before we opening a restaurant, I did learn about some retail business management things with a company that I just work with them part-time, kind of like a project manager. So I did learn some stuff from them and then opening up, yeah. But it's not just me, because I'm with my friend. My friend has experience opening up a restaurant. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No?
Really?
No, why not?
If you want to.
Why are you making her?
No, I'm just. Well, oh,
Because
Go
like,
ahead.
okay, let's say in my country, slasher is considered to be, okay, we call it a duck. If someone works as a slasher, we call it a duck because duck can do everything, but duck cannot, like, they don't have the, it's not an expert in any kind of work.
that you mean the
Duck, the animal. We compare the slasher with the duck because it can just do everything, but it's not an expert of anything. It cannot fly, it cannot swim like a fish. So yeah. So we kind of have like a little bit negative mindset about this kind of job.
Yeah.
So, and since I was young, my parents and everyone just always told me, when you grow up and when you work, you need to be an expert of something, just something. And I think I have the mindset that is how to call it. It's like when you know how to do many things, but you're not an expert of anything as well.
That's a wrong trade.
So
It is, like I said, my mom doesn't know what I'm doing beginning. And
Yeah, so how can you like deal with that insecure feeling when people around you keep asking you and question with what you're doing? I don't know if you understand.
yes, I do.
Yeah.
But I feel like
Do
it's
you get offended by being asked or
Yeah.
how people see you?
I don't. I feel like I do when I'm younger. Like I said, I feel like oh, I have a doctor of pharmacy degree. I should be this and that, but I'm not. So if I don't be like that, people will look down on me. But I realize that it's me that's thinking that way. So it's what's important to you. If you have a fulfilled, happy life as a slasher, who cares about what other people think? And when I'm like explaining my happiness, like I said, I help a young pharmacist to do this and that. I feel like that's what is important to me. So I can probably, if people really want to know why I'm doing this, I can talk about this. That what makes me fulfilled and what makes me happy about my job. People think that being a medical writer, helping the pharmaceutical company making money is a big no-no. But I feel like I'm helping patients and doctors to understand more about drugs and disease, so more people can get cured or get better. And I feel like that's very important. So that's how I see this. So I think, what's important is how you think about it.
I want that energy. Please give me. I want.
And I think it's very, when I'm your age, I'm not like this. This comes with, when you live older enough, you will become more and more like this. I mean, when I'm that young, I'm not that like this as well. So, I mean, it takes time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Because there is many times that I question myself, like, because like when I do many things in the same time, okay, I want to join that, I want to do this, I want to start this as well, and then people just be like, oh, so what you good at? What is your expert? What is the things that you will live your life for? And I cannot feel offensive. I feel like, oh yeah, what do I do? Like, so what is things? What do I want to stick my life with? And then I don't know.
But I think it's normal that you don't know. You guys are still students. You are still figuring out. So it's all a process. I mean, I still don't know what I want to do with my life. I'm just go with the flow, and that's how I become right now. But I mean, that's okay. Yeah.
I need that energy.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions, comments? Kylie.
I want to ask about if you want to partner with others, so how can you find the right partner to open the business? Because I know that if you play close with someone, it doesn't mean that they will be your perfect business partner.
Yes.
So I just want to ask about your experience.
My experience has been, I think I'm fortunate enough that I've met people that I can trust, and then I work with them, and it doesn't come out very bad. So it's really, this is not something that I can explain, because sometimes it's very different for people to know how to trust people. Yeah, and when you trust someone as a friend doesn't mean that I can give you $1 million and you can go spend it. And then I trust that you will bring $2 million back to me. That's not the same thing. So it's really hard. You have to understand more about that person before you can invest in. And then I guess being courageous enough to take that risk, to trust that person is important as well. I I know this is not an answer, but it's really hard to explain, yeah.
So at first, if for example, it's like, for example, I aim to do about that kind of business, and when I talk to them, like if I found that they also have the same interest or hobby in that, is it one point of science that means they also fit for
Sure, yeah. And then, I mean, we talked a long time before we made the decision to do it. So you guys should talk about, if you want to be partner, you should talk about what you want to do and how you envision you guys doing it. Who does what. There's a lot of communication have to be going on before you really go to the step of start doing it. Yeah.
I have a question, just out of my curiosity. Your profession, when you were working as a full-time pharmacist in a hospital, it's possible that your decision may lead to someone's death, right? But in my case, even if I teach badly one day, my students don't die, right? But they just give me bad evaluation of my teaching. So how did you cope with the stress that you might kill someone?
You might kill my future.
Maybe possible.
I think
But you're still alive, right?
in the beginning, yeah, it's a learning process as well. Because in the beginning, when I first graduated, I started dealing with patients. It's scary as well. Like I'm so scared of giving people wrong information that they would do.
Like you said, those Taiwanese students, those who graduated, they didn't know anything, right? Even after graduation.
But I feel like because the education in the States and in Taiwan is so different. In Taiwan, I'm talking about before, not right now. Before, it's all, in Taiwan, it's all like knowledge, like book-based knowledge. They didn't tell me how to talk to patients, how to solve problems. But in the States, we, from first year, we start practicing, teacher will give us patient examples. We have to pretend to be a pharmacist to solve their problems. And we keep this practice every year, every class. So by the time we graduate, we already kind of know how to deal with that kind of situation. So I feel like in the States, I'm more confident about patient care. But in Taiwan, the new graduates, they have less faith in their knowledge and skills because they don't have that kind of practice.
Like hands-on exercises.
Yes, a lot of people complain about what they learn in school doesn't apply to the work that they do. So, but they are changing it now, very slowly, but they are changing it now. So I feel like in the States, when I first started, I'm still scared. But I talk to my colleagues. Whenever I make a decision or whatever, I'm not sure, I would ask how my colleagues feel like. And gradually, you would earn your trust by doing things. And then you just get more confident. And of course, I do make mistakes before. But I feel like pharmacists in the States are they're a little bit scared of making mistakes than in Taiwan. Because in Taiwan, a lot of times patients are in a hurry. They are done with the doctors. They want to get their medication right now. So in the back, pharmacists, they have to do a lot of steps actually to make sure there's no mistakes. But they don't have that time because patients are waiting. They say we want the drugs. So it's sometimes they can make mistakes because the time
Oh.
restriction, yeah. And then, so it's very difficult to say, to talk about it. But yeah, I mean, the pharmacists in Taiwan are getting better and better, slowly. But I think still it's a learning process. For me, if I feel I just talked to you before that, if I made a mistake that killed someone, I feel like I have to save more people to offset that. So that I have to, even if I did make a mistake that killed someone, that I need to keep doing this job to save more people to offset that. Yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions? No? Okay. All right, then. Thank you very much for the talk.
The positive energy, breath energy. Zach, long time no see. I saw you yesterday in the chicken store, but it's like you just spend time with your brother. A chicken pie, the one, the yellow one.
While you everyone is pretty
No, it's me and you.
I will. Thank you. I will.